Welcome to the Prescott Lab podcast, not just theory, practical science for everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, a physician and integrative medicine researcher at the Ravenshade Institute for Human Health. And today I want to speak directly to the men who have quietly wondered, is something wrong with me? Not because you're sick, not because you're broken, but because your body quietly, almost embarrassingly, has started changing in ways you weren't warned about. If you're over 60 and noticing less firmness, slower response, reduced sensitivity, let me be the doctor who says out loud what others won't. That's not just aging, that's a signal. And that signal is often coming from the very part of you society taught you to ignore. Your penis isn't just about sex. It's one of the earliest, most accurate indicators of your overall health, especially blood flow, especially nerve health, especially early cardiovascular decline, the kind most men don't catch until it's too late. I know this sounds bold, but after 30 years of clinical practice, I've seen the pattern repeat in thousands of men. First, the body whispers, then it yells, and eventually it stops trying, but that doesn't have to be your story. Now, before we go any further, if this message already speaks to you, if something in your gut says, I needed to hear this, go ahead and hit the like button. Not because I need approval, but because every like tells the algorithm this content matters. It's what keeps this channel alive. And more than that, it's the fuel that helps us create more episodes like this for the men who need it most. So if you're watching this and you're not yet subscribed, now's the perfect moment. One click is all it takes to join a growing community of men reclaiming their strength, one honest conversation at a time. Because in just a moment, I'm going to share with you the first of 5 daily habits that can help you restore function, confidence, and vitality. No pills, no gimmicks, just real physiology. And it starts where all health begins, with your blood. Let's talk about circulation. One daily movement, the real circulatory medicine. Let's get one thing clear. No matter how expensive your supplements are, how clean your diet is, or how motivated your mindset may be, if your blood isn't moving, nothing else can. Your penis is not separate from the rest of your circulatory system. It's part of it, and it's often the very first part to feel the slowdown. I've had dozens, maybe hundreds of men walk into my office, frustrated and confused. They'd say things like, "Doc, I eat well, I sleep okay, but I just don't feel the same down there." Or, "I used to wake up with morning wood, now nothing." And I'd ask one simple question: how much are you moving? Not running, not lifting weights, just moving, walking, breathing deeply, shifting positions, using your body the way it was meant to be used. One patient, Gerald, comes to mind. He was 67, retired accountant, healthy weight. No smoking, but he sat for 10 to 12 hours a day at the breakfast table on the couch behind the wheel. He came in because things weren't working. Medications helped a little, but not much, so I gave him one assignment: not pills, not hormone shots, just walk, 10 minutes, 3 times a day, that's it. 3 weeks later he came back, tears in his eyes. He said, "Doc, I didn't realize how much my body missed movement. I feel awake again." You see, blood flow isn't just about erections. It's about sensation. It's about arousal. It's about how alive your entire body feels. And after 60, the arteries narrow, the pressure softens. That's not disease, that's aging. But that doesn't mean you do nothing. That's the moment you lean in. You don't need to punish yourself with painful workouts. You need motion. 10 minutes after breakfast, a stretch after lunch, a slow stroll after dinner, gentle hip circles while brushing your teeth, even a few deep breaths while standing every hour. To the untrained eye, these look like nothing, but to your capillaries, your pelvic floor, your vascular lining, they are oxygen, hope, and healing. Because here's the truth. The penis has no muscles of its own. It's entirely dependent on smooth blood flow. No blood, no signal, no response. And yet men wait for a pill, as if a shortcut could replace a foundation. It can't, and if you've been sitting most of the day, maybe in retirement, maybe in pain, maybe because no one ever told you this mattered, let this be your turning point. You don't need to climb a mountain. You just need to take the first step, and then another, and then another. Every step sends one message: I'm still here, I'm still working, I still want to live. And that's exactly what your body needs to hear, not just your heart, but your nerves. Because even with movement, if your body has forgotten how to feel, then you're missing one of the deepest sources of healing. Let's look at that next. 2. Slow touch, rebuilding sensitivity without shame. Movement wakes up your blood, but touch wakes up your soul. And I don't mean touch from someone else. I mean your own touch, the kind most men were never taught to give. The kind most men, especially over 60, haven't offered themselves in decades. I met a man once named Robert, 72, retired engineer, still sharp, still active. But he came into my clinic with this hollow look in his eyes. He said, "Doc, I'm not broken, I just feel numb, like my body forgot how to respond." And I asked him a question that surprised even myself. When's the last time you touched your own body with kindness, not rush, not shame, not habit, but actual care? He stared at the floor for a long time and whispered, maybe never. That answer isn't rare. Most men were taught that touch is either sexual or clinical. There's no middle ground, no tenderness, no permission. But let me tell you something. Your skin, especially the skin around your pelvis, your inner thighs, your lower belly, is still alive. The nerves may be quieter, but they are not gone, and they're not asking for intensity. They're asking for attention. Start small. A warm compress before bed. A light circular massage over your lower abdomen. Hands resting on your thighs as you breathe deeply. No pressure, no expectations, no goal. The nervous system responds to safety before it responds to pleasure. So if you've been ignoring this part of yourself, or worse, resenting it, it's time to rebuild the trust. Robert began a nightly ritual, 5 minutes, nothing fancy, warm towel, gentle massage, stillness. Within a month, he came back and said something I'll never forget. My body feels like mine again. See, this isn't about stimulation, it's about remembering that you're still alive, that you're still worth caring for, that your body hasn't failed you, it's just been waiting for you to show up. And when you do, something shifts. Nerve signals begin to fire again. Oxygen-rich blood reaches the tissues that had been waiting, and slowly sensation returns. But here's the key: for that sensitivity to truly thrive, the skin itself needs to be ready. Because if your outer layer is inflamed, dry, or neglected, no amount of touch can get through. That's where we're heading next. 3. Skin wisdom. Stop hurting what you're trying to help. Touch only works if the skin is listening, and for far too many men over 60, the skin stopped listening a long time ago, not because it gave up, but because it's been under attack. Yes, attack, by soaps that strip, by scrubbing that wounds, by years of treating this part of the body as something to hide, to punish, or to simply get clean and get on with it. Larry was a man who came to see me for what he thought was a rash. 69 years old, fit, friendly, clean-cut, but his groin was red, irritated, and dry to the point of cracking. "I use a strong soap every day," he told me proudly, "and aftershave down there keeps me fresh." Except it was doing the exact opposite. What Larry and so many others didn't realize is this: the skin around the penis and scrotum ages just like the skin around your eyes. It thins, it dries, it loses its protective oils. And that old school scrub it till it's raw routine, it's not helping, it's hurting. Your skin doesn't need to be sterilized, it needs to be respected. So here's what I told Larry and what I tell every man who walks into my office: use warm water, that's it. If you must use soap, make sure it's fragrance-free and designed for sensitive skin. Pat dry, don't rub, and once or twice a week. Apply a small amount of unscented, alcohol-free moisturizer. If you're uncircumcised, gently retract the foreskin and rinse underneath, never force it. If you live in a hot climate or sweat a lot, a light talc-free powder can help reduce friction. But skip the colognes, skip the harsh soaps, skip the lies that taught you more pain equals more hygiene. Because here's the hidden truth: when your skin is calm, your nervous system is calm. When your skin is inflamed, your entire pelvic floor tightens in response, and that tension, it kills pleasure, it dulls response, it feeds shame. Larry followed my advice. 2 weeks later, his redness disappeared, but what moved him wasn't just relief. He said, "Doc, I feel like I reclaimed something I didn't know I was losing." That's the power of small things done right, of care without force, of presence without performance. But here's the thing: all the movement, touch, and skin care in the world won't work if the inside of your body is starving. And most men don't even realize they are starving. Not for calories, but for something much more vital. 4. Feed your nerves like they feed your confidence. Here's the part no one ever told you: not your gym buddy, not your primary doctor, not even the commercials selling you vitamins. Your erections don't start in your pants, they start in your nervous system, and your nervous system starts with what you eat, drink, and absorb. Let me tell you about James, 73, retired mechanic. No major health issues, no meds. But he came to me with a problem he couldn't put into words. "I'm there," he said, "mentally, emotionally, but my body's not catching up, like the signal's not getting through." He wasn't broken, he was B12 deficient. Years of mild heartburn and a steady diet of antacids had slowly robbed his body of the one vitamin essential for healthy nerve conduction. No burning pain, no dramatic symptoms. Just a slow, quiet dimming, the kind that steals sensation, dulls arousal, and leaves men wondering if it's all just in their head. It's not in your head, it's in your myelin. That's the protective coating around your nerves, and when it starts to fray, so does everything else. Vitamin B12 helps rebuild it, so does folate, so does magnesium and omega-3s from fatty fish or flax. And so does the simplest medicine of all, water. Dehydrated nerves are sluggish nerves. They misfire, they delay. And for men who have spent decades drinking soda, coffee, or alcohol instead of water, your body's been operating on fumes. James didn't need a miracle. He needed minerals. And within 4 weeks of cleaning up his diet, taking a high-quality B complex and doubling his water intake, something extraordinary happened. He said, "It's like my body turned the lights back on." You see, your nerves are like tiny highways. They carry electrical signals from your brain to your pelvic floor and back again. But if those roads are crumbling or covered in static, the signal can't get through. That's not dysfunction, that's infrastructure failure. And here's the catch: this kind of damage is preventable, even reversible, but only if you stop ignoring the silent hunger inside your body. So what can you do? Start with leafy greens, handful of walnuts, salmon once or twice a week. Drink more water than you think you need. And if you've been on acid blockers, metformin, or blood pressure meds for a while, ask your doctor to test your B12. This is where performance starts, not in the gym, not in the bedroom, but in your bloodstream. Because once your nerves wake up, everything else starts syncing again: your sensations, your timing, your desire, your trust in your own body. But even when the body is ready, some men still hold back, not because they are weak, but because the most powerful barrier isn't physical at all. It's psychological. Let's explore that shift. 5. Mindset reset. You're not broken, you're becoming. I want you to picture this. A man stands in front of his bathroom mirror. He's 68, strong jawline, steady hands, but his eyes look tired, not because he didn't sleep, but because he's been carrying a quiet burden for years, the sense that something is slipping away and no one ever told him how to stop it. That man's name was Carl. He sat in my office and said something I've heard more times than I can count. "Doc, I love my wife. I still want connection, but I feel like a stranger in my own skin, like I'm performing a role that doesn't fit anymore." And I looked him in the eye and told him what I'm going to tell you now. You are not failing, you are evolving. And the real pain comes not from the change, but from resisting the change. Because somewhere along the way, someone taught us that if you're not performing like you did at 25, you're less of a man. That message. It's poison, it steals joy, it shrinks confidence. It turns intimacy into a test and you into your own harshest judge. But here's the truth: slower doesn't mean weaker. Gentler doesn't mean less passionate. What you're entering isn't the end. It's the next stage of mastery, where connection matters more than conquest and presence matters more than performance. Carl didn't need a new pill. He needed permission to let go of the pressure, so he started small. Each morning, a few quiet stretches. Each evening, 5 minutes of stillness and breath. And when he touched his body, it wasn't to check if it worked, it was to remind himself that he's still here, still capable, still worthy. 3 months later, he returned with something new in his voice: softness. "I didn't need to get back to who I was," he told me. "I just had to meet the man I am now." Gentlemen, your nervous system listens to your beliefs. If you approach your body with shame, it tightens. If you approach it with curiosity, it softens. That alone can shift blood flow, improve sensation, and rebuild confidence. And I'll say it again, this isn't about giving up sex. It's about reclaiming it on your own terms. You're not obsolete, you're seasoned. And the man you are becoming might just be the man you always needed to be: free from pressure, full of presence, finally at home in his body. But how do you take everything we've covered, the blood flow, the nerves, the skin, the food, and now the mindset, and make it stick? How do you actually live this day by day without turning it into another chore? Let me show you how next. 6. The 5-minute routine that changes everything. By now you might be thinking, "This all makes sense, Doc, but how do I actually do it?" Because knowledge without action is like a car with no gas. It might look good on paper, but it's not getting you anywhere. So let's make this practical. Let's make it simple. Let's make it yours. I call it the 5-minute reset, and it's not a prescription, it's a promise. A way to show up for your body fully, gently, consistently, without pressure, without shame. Here's how it works. Minute 1 movement. Start with a slow, intentional walk, even just around the house. Lift your knees, roll your hips, breathe as you go. If you've been sitting all day, this is your way of saying, "I'm here, I'm alive, I'm not done yet." Minute 2, touch. Place your hands on your lower belly or inner thighs. No rush, no judgment, just presence. This is not about performance. This is about reminding your nervous system that this part of you still matters. Minute 3, moisture and skin care. Rinse with warm water, dry gently. Apply a light, fragrance-free moisturizer, no scrubbing, no burning soaps. This is about protection, not polish. Minute 4, breathe and hydrate. Pour a glass of water, drink slowly, then inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Repeat, you're feeding your cells, your brain. Your heart, you're telling your whole system, I choose life. Minute 5, mindset. Stand in front of the mirror, yes, that mirror, and instead of looking for what's wrong, find what's working. Say something kind to yourself, even if it feels awkward. I'm here. I'm trying, I'm not finished. Because you're not, this routine isn't magic. It doesn't require fancy gadgets or hours of free time. But if you do it, truly do it for 1 week, you'll feel something shift. Not dramatically, not overnight, but unmistakably. A softness in your breath, a flicker of warmth in places that felt cold. A moment of connection you thought you'd lost. That's how healing begins. Quietly, gently, repeatedly. Because the goal isn't to get back to who you were, it's to become the man you were meant to be now with the body and wisdom you've earned. And when that starts to settle in, when you feel it in your step, in your touch, in the way you carry yourself, you'll realize something deeper, something even more important than movement or diet or technique. You'll realize you're not just restoring function. You're restoring relationship with yourself, your past, and the people who matter most. And that's where we'll close this journey. 7. Final message, you're still here and that matters. If you've listened this far, it means something inside you already knew this isn't just about sex. It's about something deeper, something older than testosterone. Older than image, older than shame. It's about you, the man behind the story, the body that has carried you through wars, literal or emotional. The hands that worked, the heart that endured, and yes, the part of you that maybe felt forgotten, left behind, maybe even defective. Let me say this as clearly as I can, you are not broken. You are still here, still capable of change, still able to feel, to connect, to come home to yourself. I've worked with men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who thought their best days were gone, who believed they had missed their window. And every time, once we slowed down, once we stripped away the pressure, once we honored their story, they found something waiting inside them, a quiet fire, a flicker of aliveness. A part of themselves that never left. It just needed a reason to return, and maybe, just maybe, this conversation is your reason. So take this seriously, not fearfully, not with guilt or self-blame, but with the quiet pride of a man who chooses to care. Tonight, give yourself 5 minutes. No performance. No checklist, just breathe, move, touch, hydrate, speak kindly. Do it again tomorrow and the next day, not because you're trying to fix yourself, but because you're finally treating yourself like someone worth showing up for. And if this video helped you, give it a like, not just for me but for you, because that one click is what keeps this channel alive and helps more men find the support they've been silently searching for. Leave a comment. Let me know if this spoke to you, or if you've tried the routine, tell me how it felt. I read every word not as a doctor but as a fellow man on the path. And if you believe this message should reach more men like us, hit the share button. Send it to a friend, a brother, a father, someone who needs to be reminded we're not done yet. Lastly, if you want to go deeper, if you'd like to support this channel or help us create more content for men's health and dignity, consider making a small donation. It helps more than you know. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and never forget you are still very much alive.